Hi there everyone, it's Ryan Liberty. In this video, I'll be answering the question, what is re-victimization? What? Ooh, Okay everybody, let's get to what re-victimization is. Before I do, I just have to say, there may be some talk about abuse in this video, so if that bothers you in any way, if it triggers you, just shut the video off and come back to it maybe a little bit later when you're feeling more able to handle it. If you don't feel like you can ever handle that, you don't have to watch the video, totally okay. Also, if there's any mention of emotional abuse in this video, I'd just like to mention that that is a pattern emotional abuse. We all do things every now and then that could be considered emotionally abusive. It's when it's a pattern that we consistently see over time that it actually becomes emotional abuse. And also, if you find that you're in any kind of an abusive situation yourself, please seek help. Find a support group, get family member support, get friends, call up a helpline if you need to, find a shelter, whatever you need to do. There is help out there, and I just want to urge you to go ahead and find that help for yourself. So that out of the way, let's get into what is re-victimization. I've got notes as always here because I do a little bit of research before I do my videos, and let's get into what re-victimization is. So re-victimization is simply experiencing something that you were once a victim of again. So it really, you just got to do it one more time, and you now move from becoming a victim to being re-victimized. Something significant about this concept of re-victimization is that if somebody experiences sexual victimization, especially as a child or an adolescent, they have a much higher likelihood of being re-victimized and experiencing that again in life. Important to know. So this word is also something that's been growing in use among survivors of emotional abuse, people with PTSD, for example, because as they attempt to explain what has happened to them, especially when you've been gaslighted, maybe you've been involved with somebody who has a deceitfulness trait to themselves, so they lie to other people. So when you go to explain your side of the story, other people question it, they question you, and you actually wind up being gaslighted again. You were gaslighted originally by your abusive partner, now you're gaslighted again by other people who are questioning your sanity, questioning your version of reality. That would be an example of re-victimization, and that's becoming a more popular use of this term of re-victimization in that community of people who've survived emotional abuse. There's also when somebody is victimized over and over again, in which case it is re-victimization, it's also significant to note because it may lead into something like a depression, or it may lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, or more likely something like complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which happens when you experience an overwhelming traumatic event repeatedly over a long duration of time. So another reason why the term re-victimization is helpful and useful to use. So some examples of what re-victimization may look like could be a man is molested as a child, and then later in life other men take advantage of him sexually. A woman who's raped in high school is then raped again in college. Somebody who was gaslighted explains their experience to a confidant, a friend, only to be told that they're not seeing things correctly, to be questioned. A person who was held up by gunpoint on the street is still frightened and feeling vulnerable a month later, and as they walk through the park, a woman targets them, seeing that they're frightened and seeing that they're vulnerable, to rob again at gunpoint. And another example would be a woman who was beaten by her parents gets into a relationship with a woman who then hits her. So this experience of re-victimization, it's incredibly frightening. You kind of wonder to yourself, how is this happening to me again? You already went through one traumatic experience, one experience that was very frightening and where you were very vulnerable, and now it's happening again. So it's like, oh my gosh, what is going on? You may start to wonder if you're trapped, if things are never going to change, if you have some kind of a curse or something. And if this is something that repeatedly happens to you, especially if it's something that started in childhood and continued throughout life, you may just accept that this is the way that the world is, this is the way that people behave, including the way that we behave, and you just see this as the way things are. So that would not be a great place to be in. That would be a great place to consider seeing a therapist and to start getting an outside perspective on what the world is like and how things are. But re-victimization is, it's terrible. It's awful to go through. It's not something that I would wish on anybody, of course, because it's bad enough to go through it once, but then to be re-victimized is not great. And I think as people who maybe know somebody who's a victim, if we hear them speaking out about their story, especially when it comes to emotional abuse, you want to be mindful of not questioning them too much, maybe just being empathic and validating and listening to what they say so we don't re-victimize somebody. And if you don't feel like you have that capacity to be able to do that, to point that, to acknowledge that and let the person know, I can't hold this right now, I'm not able to help you, and point them towards a therapist or somebody who may be more trained to handle that kind of a situation. So I just wanted to add that little footnote in there. But that's what re-victimization is. If you've been re-victimized, I'd love to hear your story, so please share that below. And I hope I've given you a nice, human, well-rounded perspective on what re-victimization is, so I thank you for joining me to learn about it. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you like that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.